beating Jake's head with the clapperboard.
I'm gonna come over there and beat you. What up? Welcome to round 2 of our all-time villain brackets list. What was that hand thing? Oh, never mind. All right, Matt's doing a thing. We're gonna take all the winners from the first round and start pitting them up against each other to eventually, hopefully, get down to our final 4. We actually have some pretty good matchups on this one, so I'm thinking there'll be a little bit more discussion, but that's okay because we have half the people from last time.
And there's nothing else we need to say about that, so let's get right into it. Our first match is Hopper from Bug's Life going up against Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones.
Alright, now stick with me. Hopper is a good villain, but Joffrey is just like...
When you think Game of Thrones villains, you think Joffrey. You
think of Joffrey.
Even though he dies pretty soon in the show as a whole.
Relatively in the show, yeah. But he's just a bad guy. And it wasn't necessarily, like, in Game of Thrones, it wasn't necessarily, is he gonna die? Is he gonna last the whole way? No, we knew he was gonna die. It was just a matter of who and how. Everyone wanted him dead.
Jake, what are you thinking?
I think Daniel's right. Like, Hopper is an awesome villain, and I like him more. Mm-hmm. But Joffrey's got, a lot more behind him. And overall...
Specifically an angry mob.
Right. And overall, he's probably a little bit more memorable, and he's probably a lot more evil.
Fair. Joffrey it is.
I mean, he's just a bad person down to his core.
Yeah.
Like,
in season 1, he killed Sean Bean.
Right. Like, some people, a lot of these villains, they're evil for a purpose. Joffrey is not.
He's evil because he thinks it's funny.
He's a bad person. That's why he's evil.
Right. All right. Next up, we have Baron Zemo going up against Mr. Glass.
Baron Zemo, still just a great villain who... got stuff done.
Both incredibly behind the scenes of their respective actions.
Yeah, I guess they both did get stuff done, but there's one thing to kill a lot of people. It's another thing to strategically
tear apart 2 specific people.
Yeah,
it's true.
I'm going with Zemo. Mr. Glass, in the first movie, was really, really like he was a good villain. But then Glass came out, and it got me a little bit lukewarm on it.
Yeah, it's true. All right. The Joker going up against the Vulture.
Vulture's great. It's the Joker.
Yeah.
Yep. Goodbye, Vulture. You will be missed.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about why the Vulture is great. Michael Keaton did a great job. But
that's true.
Heath Ledger's Joker. Iconic.
When people think villains, Heath Ledger's Joker comes to mind.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we did talk a lot about Vulture. Go watch our Spider-Man video. Shameless plugs all around. Next up.
It's in this corner.
Next up, we have Kaiser Sose up against Gus Fring.
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gus was alright.
Gus is
People liked him more than I thought they should. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was...
I'm just not a huge fan of Breaking Bad in the first place.
I'm not either. I didn't fully understand it.
I honestly didn't know it existed until the last season. Everyone's like, it's the last season, guys. I'm like, what is this? Right. I don't know. All right. Next up is Colonel Hans Landa up against Scar. Now, guys. Scar.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Really? Okay, cool.
I mean, not super memorable that Hans, man.
Hans is a very notable Nazi colonel. Scar is the Disney animated version of Hitler. So,
I think Hans Landa is basically the stand-in for Hitler for the story that's being told. But Scar's just a good villain.
He's much more enjoyable.
In the animated Scar.
I like Hans. I think Hans was more enjoyable, but and he wasn't Nazi. He brought a lot more dread. Dang it. And I don't think I want to vote for Scar anymore.
You're still outvoted though.
I know, but I'm sticking to Hans. That guy had more going for him than he should, and that character is the reason I love Christoph Waltz.
That's true. Although, because of that character, I can't think of any other Christoph Waltz character in any other way.
Yeah, I just think it's something to say when you have such a great villain who is the nicest guy in the world.
Right.
And he still strikes fear in you.
True.
That's something
That's
impressive.
arguably how Scar is either. How Scar is too.
Scar's never been nice to anybody.
Scar,
He's passive aggressively nice.
Colonel Hans Landa is really just he's a bad evil dude, but he's a bad evil dude working on orders versus Scar, who's the one giving orders.
Right.
We're
Okay.
gonna get flack for that, but I stand by it.
I don't.
Next up, we have Anton Chigurh against Superman Returns Lex Luthor.
Anton.
Anton.
Guy puts a freaking nail through a dude's head with a nail gun.
Lex Luthor's very comic booky and over the top.
Like, you can't stop Anton.
You can't.
Okay.
When you have the most ridiculous haircut in the world,
And you're terrifying.
and you're terrifying, that's something. That's
It's the
something.
dark side of Will Byers from Stranger Things. Sorry, had to put that in there. Next up, we have Calvin Candy from Django Unchained against Jack Torrance from The Shining.
Calvin Candy.
Yes, I
Jack
agree.
Torrance.
I agree with Jake because Jack turned evil because he was being influenced by the Overlook Hotel or the ghosts in Overlook. And I'm not thinking about the picture at the end like, oh, he was always there.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying he was more influenced by his surroundings. Calvin Candy was the one influencing his surroundings.
Right. And Jack, I mean, he went crazy. He's chaos.
He is.
Which can be a good thing, but Calvin Candy was more in control, and I think in this scenario that's better.
Okay, I mean, I'll give it to you guys. I think your readings are a little off, but that's okay. I'll
Like, what do you mean?
So
we
I
have
think
time
that-
to discuss.
The thing with Calvin Candy is that he wanted to be in control, but he really wasn't. It was Samuel L. Jackson's character that was the one in control. He at least had as much control as he possibly could.
Yeah, but that's because Calvin gave that to him.
Interesting comparison. One that you wouldn't normally try to make, you know?
Like, Calvin Candy is a good cartoonish villain. Good,
He is.
fun, cartoonish villain. Jack Torrance is an everyday, evil, psychotic person that we
gets
see
kind of exaggerated.
everywhere.
Yeah, that gets kind of exaggerated because of the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You still voting Calvin?
yeah, because I mean, yes, Jack Torrance was a bad guy and more evil, but again, his execution and just lack of control doesn't make me think he was a better villain.
There was a lot of lack of control, especially when he finally embraced, yep, I'm a psycho.
And
Right.
that was the scariest part, is that his natural state, when he didn't have control, it wasn't that he was, okay, it wasn't like a Hulk moment. It wasn't, I'm so angry I've lost control. It's, now I'm finally free to do what I've always wanted to do.
Sure.
But he did lose control. He did kind of Hulk out.
Got outsmarted by a 9-year-old.
Kind of outsmarted by a 9-year-old.
Yes.
It's tricky.
It's
a
not.
tricky one.
I'm not saying
weird
Calvin
comparison.
Candy's the best villain ever.
Definitely.
I just don't think Jack is either.
I agree. We'll give it to Calvin. That was my first instinct, and
Okay.
okay. Loki or the child catcher?
The child catcher.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with Loki.
Take it.
See, the child catcher is just plain evil. Man.
He is, and Loki has a good arc where he learns and grows, and that's great.
It honestly becomes almost kind of like an anti-hero, but
He really
he
is.
flips back so much to evil.
The
He's
thing-
still a villain.
The thing is, and I think Daniel mentioned it last episode when we were going through the preliminaries, is when Loki is full on evil, he doesn't really do a lot he doesn't do a lot of damage. He's annoying, but he doesn't do damage.
Destroyed New York.
That was all.
That was more.
Thanos' crap, you know.
He was just.
He's always been a
face of it.
background character, but
Like, he's fun. I don't think that he was meant to be anything more than like a one-off villain if it wasn't for Tom Hiddleston.
It's true. And I agree. He's grown into and is recognized more as an anti-hero than a villain. Child Catcher's just...
Like, especially in Thor Ragnarok. Versus, like, the Child Catcher, which actually has just given me nightmares.
Alright,
I feel weird saying Child Catcher is moved up this far.
Loki is too overblown. There, I said it.
Okay. The Yellow-Eyed Demon or Cell?
Cell.
Yeah.
Cell was awesome.
Yeah, again,
And I
I'm not a big
loved
fan of Supernatural.
everything about Cell.
Oh, man.
He was charismatic.
He was funny.
Did damage.
Oh yeah, we're going off DBZ abridged.
Abridged.
Yeah. I mean, the regular Dragon Ball Z Cell is still
Yeah, I mean,
a good
they're still
villain.
pretty similar. And he was overpowered. It took a lot to defeat Cell.
Yeah.
It took a lot to defeat Cell, and I think that's a good characteristic of a villain. Is you have to come really close.
How easy did they go down?
Right.
And it took everything that everyone had.
Yeah.
Like, Goku died.
A lot.
And then he still came back. He didn't even win it then.
Yeah. Gohan was only able to beat him after Vegeta distracted him for a sec.
So Cell is pretty dope. Let's
Cell's
move on
dope.
to Pierre Despero or Belloc. Again, Belloc did kind of go down pretty easy, but that wasn't necessarily his fault.
Which one's Belloc again?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
No one would have anticipated what happened when they opened that thing.
Yeah, like he technically won.
He did. It was
But
just by
it was
the
just-
grace of God, literally,
Yeah,
because it's the Ark of the
Deus Ex
Covenant.
Machina,
It's true.
I don't know if you can call that grace of God, but it's the,
the
Ark
hand
the
of
Covenant.
God.
Yeah, I feel like Belloc didn't do a lot for himself. Pierre Despero outsmarted Sean Spencer quite a few
Multiple
times.
times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
But he's a lot sillier.
He is,
Belloc-
but so's the show.
True.
I mean,
Pierre Despero is as evil as that show can be, barring maybe Yin Yang.
right.
And one of the most evil things about him was that he was like, oh yeah, I'm a serious art thief. But he never actually stole anything.
That's true. That's kind of the thing is, even Sean was really disappointed when he found out it was just insurance fraud.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's insurance fraud, but the fact that he was able to pull all this off successfully takes so much
He
planning.
also faked his own death, which was awesome.
Multiple times.
And convinced Sean that he was part of Interpol.
Multiple times.
Right. You guys remember that episode where they're running from the people and they're like, meet me at the boat. And Sean and Gus are like in the boat and then Pierre drives by and he's just like,
Which boat are you guys in?
that was amazing. I vote Pierre.
Pierre? Yeah.
Pierre Despero.
Yeah.
Next up, we have The Thing, John Carpenter's to be specific, going up against The Predator.
The Thing.
I mean, what is I like the movie The Thing better than The Predator. But what is The Thing trying to do?
We don't know. And that's part of The Thing. You see, one of the horrors of The Thing is that we don't know where it came from. We don't know what it wants. We don't know what its motives are or how it works or how it thinks or anything.
Like, we know it does assimilate things. But why?
Versus the Predator that at best case scenario is basically a rich trophy hunter. Like,
Right.
that's like, oh, I've cut enough.
That's a way
wild-
of life for that species, though.
Yes.
So is The Thing, arguably.
Yeah. Versus the Thing that, like, the Predator dies at the end and gets beaten by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Versus the Thing, which could potentially be alive and is ambiguous.
Ambiguous?
Ambiguous. Thank you. I words. Yes, correctly.
I think both have a lot going for them. I think both take different categories, but I think The Thing takes the more important categories, as much as I hate to say it, because I like The Predator.
Predator
The
is
Predator's
cool.
dope. Yeah, like, no, it's cool. But the Thing.
Okay, The Thing it is. Okay.
If you think The Thing's beating Pierre, you're wrong.
All right, Darth Vader versus Emperor Commodus.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Cool. Commodus is fun. Barbossa versus Michael Myers.
Barbossa.
Cool.
That was a lot less discussion than I thought it would.
I know.
Sorry, because these ones right here and these ones,
Are gonna be
it's going to be nothing but discussion.
yeah.
Norman Bates versus Claude Frollo.
Frollo.
Frollo is bad.
He's a bad dude. Reverse Flash or Sauron?
I will give you Reverse Flash on this one.
Really?
If it was Sauron.
I think
Reverse Flash is silly, but that's because the whole show is kind of silly.
he is.
Versus Sauron, that is just this overpowering, corrupting influence, even over great distances.
Yeah, he's got a point.
He does.
Reverse Flash, though, is like the main antagonist of the Flash. It's just there to screw
Yeah,
him
but
over.
the show's just really not that good. There, I said it.
Not lately. It started out pretty good.
It started out okay.
It's still my favorite of the DC TV shows. But
Which isn't hard.
Look. Okay, Sauron.
Sauron? Okay. Daniel, you've turned me around on Sauron. I still don't like Lord of the Rings as much as some people do. But you
Well,
turned me around on Sauron. Good
There's,
job.
I will never love Lord of the Rings quite as much as Christopher Lee did, but holy goodness, I'm gonna try.
Aku versus Freddy Krueger.
Hear me out. Aku.
Aku?
Alright.
Freddy Krueger just, as time has gone on,
It's
gets
true.
so ridiculous.
He does. Like, Aku started out ridiculous, but in a good way.
He was consistent with his ridiculousness.
I don't know why. I have a real soft spot for Aku.
Okay. Next up, we have Shigo against Count Olaf.
They're both kind of ridiculous.
They
in
are.
a way, Shigo is more serious of a villain, which is weird because it's a comedy cartoon. Count Olaf is just that ridiculous. However, I think Count Olaf was a better villain because he actually did some terrible things.
He
Terrible
did.
things.
Especially since the movie doesn't go into it. The show's a little better, but he's there just trying to put these kids through the worst experience of their life in every episode, in every book, every chance he gets. And he's kind of the sprinkle of comedy in a just very depressing story.
Yeah. And at a certain
But
point,
it's depressing because of him.
I mean, even after during the first book, you're like, dude, go away.
I know.
But then it's like 8 books in, you're like, bro, back the freak up.
And then he dies in the last one, spoilers. And you're like, okay, but actually though?
But did he though? Like, we're not sure.
I have a feeling there's a 14th book that Lemony Snicket wrote, like buried somewhere, that has Count Olaf come back somehow.
Yeah, I think Count Olaf beats Shigo.
man.
Shigo's a good villain, but she's really not that evil.
No. She's tragic.
Versus Olaf that murders people regularly just for money.
Yeah. All right. Lotso or Azula.
Azula. Not because Lotso's bad, but because Azula's great.
Because Azula's crazy.
Right.
If Lotso had even a shred of the insanity Azula reaches by the end, he'd be unstoppable.
See, like,
and he's a
the
teddy bear.
The first season, like the first couple episodes of Avatar, it's like, oh crap, Zuko's a bad dude. But then he has just that little bit of humanity that makes you think, okay, what's coming from this? But then Azula comes into the picture, and Azula is Zuko's villain.
Yeah. And again, if Lotso had even a shred of Azula's mental capacity, he'd be the type that would just be walking freely amongst kids like, hey, you're scarred now. Congratulations.
Have fun.
Azula did a lot. She was ruthless. I think that's why she was amazing. She didn't care. Okay, next up we got Hailers or Sylar.
Hades or Sylar?
Hades or Sylar?
Hades.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
Good.
It is weird. This one's a little bit easier. Kilgrave or Jigsaw?
I'd go with Kilgrave, to
I
be
would
honest.
too.
It's more fun to watch.
He can do a lot more. He doesn't necessarily do more, but he could.
He could.
Jigsaw does a lot when he really shouldn't.
When you really shouldn't. He
Jigsaw's
died in like the 4th movie. We don't need 4 more.
Jigsaw's really smart, though. We can't take that credit away from him.
We can't take that credit
So is
away from him.
Kilgrave. He's smart.
Kilgrave's pretty smart.
You guys really want to move up Kilgrave?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Jigsaw?
Kind of.
I mean, he's more interesting for sure.
And he's super creepy. I mean, that little thing on the bike.
The puppet, yeah, is creepy.
The puppet's creepy.
Yeah, when I imagine Jigsaw, I don't imagine the old dude. I imagine the puppet.
I imagine the old dude just dying in a hospital bed for like 3 movies.
I mean, I imagine the puppet, but I have to remember that it's the old guy behind the puppet.
Right.
So I'm still voting.
And like in the original Saw movie when he just like sits up after being in the room the whole time.
Who do you
it's just
want?
terrifying.
You're the deciding vote.
Yeah, Kilgrave.
Okay.
Because David Tennant, man.
When David Dennett plays a villain, he plays it well.
All right.
Everything he does is just so good.
I know your answer, and I don't know your answer. I want to know your answer. Hannibal or Slade?
You know his answer.
Dude,
This is TV Hannibal.
I know.
And you know his answer.
Dude, I love the TV show Hannibal.
Dude, it's Slade.
It is Slade, and this is why it hurt. What's your vote?
Slade.
What's your vote?
Slade.
Okay, then I don't need to get into it.
What was your vote? Why? Why is Hannibal better than Slade?
Specifically,
I think
this
Magneto would beat Hannibal.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would. Well, I also
think
think
it
Hannibal.
You guys haven't watched the show, though.
I also think
I
Magneto
have.
would beat.
You've shown me episodes, and I've watched them.
Yeah, I also think Magneto would beat Slade, though. So.
Now, Hannibal is an interesting character. He poses a lot of interesting philosophies. But, like...
Slade was downright evil.
Slade was evil. Hannibal is so indifferent, is the thing.
Ultron or Voldemort?
I'd say overall Voldemort.
Yeah.
Voldemort used kids to split his soul to survive forever.
He did.
Yeah. Ultron did a lot, but for only a short amount of time.
It's true.
Voldemort had a legacy. You did not say his name.
Yeah, I think
Even
that's why
after he had died.
Voldemort had more influence overall. People were more afraid of him. Ultron just kind of showed up and then disappeared as quickly as he was there.
Yeah. The fallout from Ultron was more pointed toward the Avengers rather than Ultron himself.
Right. And honestly, Voldemort might have killed just as many people as Ultron did.
True. All right. Voldemort it is.
Voldemort's the Hitler of the magic world.
Why do we keep bringing up Nazis?
Because Hitler's the most evil. He was the real top villain of the world. And so he is our
Frame of reference.
frame of reference.
He's our frame of reference.
What we got next over there, Super Chief?
Palpatine or Maleficent? I'm just going to write down Palpatine.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
agree.
you're good.
That was easy.
Well,
That was my invisible staples button.
tough one. Very tough one. But obvious winner, Thanos and Syndrome.
Ooh.
Both excellent villains. Both of them.
Yeah, Thanos is more menacing and did technically more damage. But come on, Syndrome's a good
Syndrome's a
villain.
great villain.
Honestly, I would consider him for the resurrection.
For the
He
context,
does have to die right now, though.
for the context, Syndrome's a great villain, but Thanos
I
wins.
don't think Thanos is nearly as good as people give him credit for, but he's still a good villain.
I don't know. I think he was.
I think he's good. He's as close as someone has gotten to Heath Ledger's Joker in a while, and probably will for another long
Yeah,
while.
there's a couple things about Thanos. Number one, he is all around unstoppable.
He was.
He was. Nothing could stop him, which is amazing. He was stronger than the Hulk. He was freaking brilliant, and he had an army to back him up.
He built a time machine.
Yeah.
He didn't build a time machine.
He did build a time machine.
No, he used the Avengers time machine.
He reverse engineered it.
He reversed engineered it.
Either way.
There's no way he anyway.
He
won't get
was
that.
sadistic at the same time as,
kind of caring and sympathetic.
yeah, caring and sympathetic. it was shown that he could love, and he did love, and that was even pulled on.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
That was a point of his journey.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen much with villains where you care for them or even see them cry.
I mean, Thanos went too.
Sideshow Bob or Ivan Drago?
Sideshow Bob. I mean, Ivan Drago was like not a great guy for sure, but I don't know. His motivations to me aren't as clear. Sideshow Bob is like a twisted dude.
I just haven't seen any of The Simpsons, so
he's going after
how much
a
do you care
10-year-old
for
kid.
Ivan Drago?
I mean, I like the movie.
Put Sideshow Bob down. That was unconvincing to me. I liked the movie. That said. Xerxes or Bill Cipher?
Xerxes.
I'm going with Bill Cipher. Bill Cipher was more fun. And
Xerxes was dope.
Xerxes was
but
I'm bringing this up again. He's uncomfortable to look at.
yeah, I don't really think he deserves to go past the second round. I mean, he didn't really.
He's a
do
good
that
villain,
much.
but he wasn't the highlight of 300.
He was toppling empires.
And that's great. That's fine.
Homeboy started Armageddon.
Weird Mageddon.
Weirdmageddon.
I haven't gotten to that part in the show then.
It's the last few episodes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna write Bill Cipher because honestly, Bill Cipher is a really good villain.
Okay.
Doc Ock or Ben Linus?
I do like Lost a lot. Not always because of Ben, though. Doc Ock's probably a better villain.
I don't know. Ben had a lot going for him. Like,
True, but he was arguably just a pawn in the grand scheme of things.
he was, but
He kept flipping sides, which was annoying.
I don't even feel like he really flipped sides. I feel like he was on his own side the whole time. He just would sometimes align with different people for his own still purposes.
True. He did turn good.
Hear
at
me
the end,
out.
though.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Hear me out. Homeboy let his daughter get killed.
He did,
He just sat back and let that happen.
which is not a good thing.
It's not.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
But
Yeah.
Doc Ock is a lot more sympathetic. You understand where he's coming from and feel for him a little more.
And like,
he's a
especially
lot
in
more
Spider-Man
memorable.
2, he like that moment he just like snaps, and like you can see him snap in like not in a crazy way. Like, yes, he's crazy, but it's not like, oh, I had a bad day and now I'm the Joker. It's more of like,
I've had a bad life.
it's more like, I've had a great life and now I've lost everything. And it's because my calculations were wrong, but he can't accept that responsibility. Like, him personally cannot fathom that the reason why his wife is now dead is because he was wrong.
You want me to write Doc Ock?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love Doc Ock. Ben is great, but again, not necessarily my focus on Lost.
It was a better villain on Lost.
I mean, he is the best villain, but it's not. I didn't think Lost was always about the villain necessarily.
John Doe from Seven or Mother Gothel?
John Doe.
Yeah, John Doe.
Really?
Yeah.
Mother Gothel is interesting, but it's more of like a torture this one person to serve her own needs, rather than John Doe was like,
I see so much evil in the world that I must destroy it in any way.
True. Mother Gothel kidnapped a baby.
But John
John
Doe
Doe-
forced a guy to eat so much spaghetti that his stomach burst and then punched him in the stomach so that it burst out into his body and killed him.
He also mailed the dude's wife's decapitated head to him.
Yeah, and that shows a lot of planning and forethought.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey
he's just a lot
did
more
it again.
twisted. Gosh dang it, Kevin Spacey.
We're not even going to mention lust. This is a family show.
Pennywise or Skeletor?
See, now stick with me here. Skeletor. Yeah, no, Pennywise.
Yeah.
Anyway, Skeletor is way over the top.
I love it.
I can't believe we made it past the first round. Dracula or Judge Doom?
I want to say Judge Doom, but I understand if Dracula should go forward.
I like Dracula more. Not necessarily the Bram Stoker Dracula, but Dracula in general is like such an interesting entity to me.
True.
Which is fine. I do think Dracula's kind of stupid as a whole, not necessarily this one iteration.
This one iteration is actually kind of stupid.
You know, I don't even like vampires. I think they're dumb and they're not scary to me.
Done right, they can be, but there's very few times they've been done right.
What's the best vampire that you've seen?
Blade was pretty dope.
Still a little campy for me.
There were the vampires from 30 Days of Night that were actually pretty scary. Oh, crap, what's that Daylight movie with Ethan Hawke where like the vampires have won and the humans are underground and like they're this total bureaucratic society? That's pretty cool. Underworld, where the leader of the vampires is Bill Nighy, is actually pretty fun.
Who are you looking for?
Judge Doom.
Okay, cool. Judge Doom it is.
Just for the record, the correct answer on the best vampires was I Am Legend.
Oh, I Am Legend. See, I still forget that those are vampires. In the book, they're vampires.
That's the
it's
thing.
Scary.
That's why they're great as vampires, is because they're almost not even vampires.
But they're not really zombies either.
They're not. They're intelligent enough to be vampires, and they can't be in the sun.
They're their own weird entity, and it's interesting.
It is. In the book, they're great.
Oh my gosh, the book, they're terrifying.
Yeah, the book is, and they're a lot more sentient in the book too.
Oh, for sure.
Oh man. And the fact that they're at war with each other, the living vampires versus the dead vampires, like, that was insane.
Yeah, good book.
Great book.
Great book.
I remember it terrifying me as a kid.
It was awesome.
What's next?
Tyler Durden or Wrath from Fullmetal Alchemist.
Tyler Durden is a tool, but Wrath is more evil.
Wrath is so good.
Wrath is good, and Fullmetal Alchemist is great.
Is great.
Wrath was amazing, almost unbeatable.
I used to be really into anime. Can't really sit down and watch it anymore. But Fullmetal Alchemist is just on a whole different level.
It is, and hear me out. Wrath was literally a Fuhrer.
Yeah.
AKA Hitler.
So your President King Bradley, just in case you were wondering what his position was in.
Right, I'm gonna write down Wrath.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. Oh man, that part where like at the end they're like, "You were crying at this guy's funeral." He's like, "No, I was shaking because I was so angry this kid was crying." Oh man.
Davy Jones or Biff?
Davy Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, Davy Jones.
Yeah. Biff is okay.
Yes.
Davy Jones was
Biff
awesome.
is a good villain for the context of the movie.
Right.
Compared to Davy Jones,
he get wrecked.
Yeah.
Weeping Angels or Hannibal Lecter from the movie?
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I guess so. Weeping Angels are so much more terrifying.
Yeah, there's a
like
certain terror about them.
Oh yeah.
They're terrifying
Hannibal Lecter
in
is
like just the way that you don't really know what's going on with them, and like the first episode they're in is like scary.
Oh yeah.
But then they start to explain them, and it's just like
it gets a little
much.
Yeah.
Versus Hannibal Lecter, that is like you're told this is the most evil, depraved, just awful person you could possibly meet.
And then you meet him, he's like, "How are you doing today?"
Here's the thing.
Like he's so normal looking.
The Weeping Angels are, first of all, insanely creative.
They are.
They're their own thing. Yeah. But at the same time, they're a villain that strikes terror into you, but you can't look away. You literally can't. Like, that's their rule.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be looking at them.
The end of Blink, that first episode, when it shows literally any kind of statue, and you're just, like, left with that kind of existential dread of, like, shoot. How many of these are they all... What?
Yeah. But then when, like, the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel, that's when I was kind of like,
Unrealistic, but kind of a creepy visual.
Kind of a creepy visual,
especially since
sure.
they all had that monster face. And, yeah.
Yeah, plus the Statue of Liberty just kind of appearing in the middle of town.
But Hannibal Lecter is just, like, one of those villains that has such a legacy.
It's true. I'm gonna vote for Hannibal.
Okay.
Especially the movie Hannibal. I like it better than the TV Hannibal. TV Hannibal is interesting and very stylized and artistic, but he's the protagonist.
Here's a classic one. Xenomorph for Terminator T-1000.
Okay.
Has that movie been made yet?
Daniel's
Now I'm
struggling.
thinking about it.
Terminator.
See, I think the T-1000 in the context of its movie was scarier just because it's this unstoppable force.
So kind of was the
But
Xenomorph.
the
though.
Xenomorph, like, especially in the first Alien movie, was just so terrifying.
It is, and its methods are insane. Like, it literally implants things in you that burst out your chest.
That's true.
It's
Gross to think about.
It's gross to think about, and it's like, I think in a fight between the two, the Xenomorph would win just because its saliva can melt steel.
Yeah.
But
Here's my thing.
That terrifies me to no end. Not necessarily the saliva part, but like zombies, vampires, the xenomorph putting things inside you. Like anything that I personally would be assimilated into, that terrifies me above all. It's like loss of identity kind of thing.
Here's my thing. I think Terminator T-1000 was cool
Very cool.
and more methodical and planned out. But I also think that in this case it was kind of following orders.
It's true.
And I think Chaos probably wins in this one.
yeah, I would go with the Xenomorph too.
Alright. Xenomorph it is.
T-1000 is like a super cool villain
It is.
and a super cool concept, and that's a great action movie. The Xenomorph is just scary though.
Captain Vidal or Grinwald?
Vidal.
Vidal, yeah. That guy.
Maybe Grindelwald will be better in the later movies, but Vidal just said a lot more than Grindelwald did.
Okay, hear me out, guys. Hans Gruber, Regina George. Hear me out.
Gruber.
Hear me out. Yeah, Hans Gruber.
Yeah. Good.
All right. That was the end of round 2. I hope
Oh, I
all
thought you guys
enjoyed
were
it.
going to vote for Regina George.
Yeah, no, not in your lifetime.
All right, guys. This has already been a long one. We're
Catch us
having a
next
blast.
time, where we'll be even more disheveled.
Bye.
Okay, who wants to start the next?
Your turn.
Okay.
Meow.
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 Meow.